Good morning to one and all. At the outset, I would like to thank AIOS for giving me this opportunity. I'll be presenting on definitive evidence of corneal stiffening after cross-linking from polarization-sensitive optical coherence tomography imaging. So we already know that corneal collagen cross-linking causes stiffening of the cornea. These are a few comparative maps of the patients who have undergone corneal collagen cross-linking. The first one shows a good flattening. The second one shows a suboptimal flattening. And the third one shows excessive flattening with a clinically significant corneal haze. So what are the ways with which we can study the outcomes of corneal collagen cross-linking? The molecular markers like the LOX gene expression in the cornea, and the second one is by studying the distribution of collagen in the cornea. So to answer the question of how we can study the molecular markers, that is LOX gene expression in the cornea, we collected epithelium from the cone and the periphery in an Eppendorf tube in normal saline and stored at -80 degrees Celsius and thought to study the LOX gene expression. We have also published a paper on outcomes of collagen cross-linking correlated with the cone-specific LOX gene expression in the patients with keratoconus and found that increased level of LOX gave higher response of cross-linking. So good increased LOX resulted in good outcomes, but normal to lower LOX resulted in better outcomes. So can we also study the distribution of collagen in the cornea to study the outcomes of cross-linking? This led us to a research question where is there a way with which we can quantify the collagen corneal collagen distribution to study the post-corneal collagen cross-linking using in vivo and non-invasive technique? On reviewing the literature, we found the use of X-ray scattering techniques to quantify the orientation and distribution of collagen in corneal stroma, and that a theoretical model of preferential collagen fibril arrangement was built by Keith Mee et al. This led to a journey of building a PSOCT machine in collaboration with the Medical University of Vienna. This is the polarization sensitive OCT machine. So we could have also imaged it through an anterior segment OCT. But what does a PSOCT do? It projects polarized light over the cornea and measures the way the polarization state of light is altered. Basically, except all the layers, only the corneal stroma does not take in the polarized light. As a result, this was taken advantage by the PSOCT machine. We started the imaging in June 2019. On the right are the images of a PSOCT machine where you can see warm colors as well as cool colors. The cool colors indicate low phase retardation, that is no alteration due to the uniform arrangement in a healthy cornea, and the warm colors indicate high phase retardation, that is due to an abnormal arrangement in an unhealthy cornea. So we carried out an interventional study after the ethics committee approval, when we recruited 50 normal eyes and 25 keratoconus eyes. We did a detailed assessment, we did the clinical evaluation, the diagnostics, and did custom build, and also they underwent the PSOCT scans. We cross-linked these keratoconus eyes on progression, and then we also again did the detailed assessment and did the polarization sensitive OCT scans. So here are three cases. The first one is a normal patient with a normal topography and biomechanics showing a normal checkered arrangement of the central collagen fibers. The second one is a keratoconic patient showing a complete loss of the collagen distribution. And the third one is a post-crosslink patient, patient's cornea, where we can see that there's no significant change in the distribution, that is no significant weakening. So here we can see the comparative maps from topography, the pre-op and the post-op 6 months. And on the right-hand side, we can see the PSOCT scans showing the distribution of the collagen, where we can see there's no significant weakening in the collagen distribution of the collagen fibers. We also saw that there was increase in stiffness post-cross-linking after 6 months on the biomechanics. These are the topography maps pre-operatively and post-operative 6 months of patients who underwent topo-guided regularization of cornea and keratoconus, and also showed increase in stiffness on biomechanics. So we know that the cross-linking causes stiffening, but the evidence to it was proven by the changes in the cornea at the molecular level, which is an invasive technique, and we have already published a paper on it. And now we are concentrating on studying these changes by imaging or non-invasive technique. So, collagen fibers are more strongly bound in normal eyes as compared to the keratoconic eyes. Laser-based procedures with cross-linking improve the quality of vision due to regularization of cornea post-laser treatment. But the cornea did not show any significant weakening in collagen distribution when compared to the pre-op OCT scans in spite of doing a topo-guided laser-based procedure. Biomechanically, the cornea post-cross-linking showed increase in stiffness. What was known as corneal tomography is a gold standard for diagnosis of KC. The disease pathology is in the corneal stroma and not directly imaged by the topographers. What the study added was PSOCT clearly identifies the differences in the collagen fibrillar distribution between the healthy and keratoconic eyes. The binding density of collagen fibrils improved and strengthened after corneal cross-linking. And PSOCT is a non-invasive imaging technique that can quantify the distribution of collagen. Thus, PSOCT can become an integral part of screening KC and post-cross-linking corneas. The future of PSOCT includes, we can study the collagen distribution. If it is similar after 6 months, we can just observe. If it is decreasing to a little extent, we can either observe or perform collagen cross-linking. And if it decreases to a larger extent, we can do an immediate collagen cross-linking. These are the applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sneha. Dr. Somshila, if you have to ask something, you can ask. We are having 4 more presentations.
Okay. Vinod, how are we on time in terms of having 4 more?
Ma'am, we are running approximately 12 minutes late.
Okay. So, I did have a question for Ritika. Sneha.
Sneha.
Sneha,
Yes,
sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Sneha.
Yes,
So Sneha, in the initial part, you did mention that that you showed us also the comparison between non-collagen cross-linked versus corneal excessive flattening versus really no effect kind
Yes,
of. So after you did, when you applied this tool to
Yes,
the kind of cases that you discussed earlier, so what was the top link, top clue that you get?
So basically, ma'am, if the collagen levels or the collagen distribution in the cornea is good, and we go ahead with the cross-linking, we found that there was excessive flattening in a patient with a good KC, keratoconus, but having a good collagen distribution. We went ahead with cross-linking. It resulted in excessive flattening and development of scarring in corneal base. Whereas in the patients which had a lower or a significantly lesser distribution of collagen, they showed good flattening without any haze.
Yes, but in the clinic, when you get a patient who has progression,
yes, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter if the polarization shows whatever kind of collagen there is. So
Yes,
don't you think that you're not justified in denying cross-linking to that patient when clearly there's progression?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. But then we would avoid development of post cross-linking haze in such patients by using this tool to our advantage.
All right, fine. Okay, great.